everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Redhead Boo here, back with a new video. So, what am I going to be filming today? So, today's video is going to be another collection because whenever I go to the theatre, whenever I go to a concert, well, when I used to go, I collect programmes and looking at all of them now, I have so many. So some might include a little background, or like I might say my favourite memory from a specific show or something. So yeah, so I think I'm going to get started because there are a lot to get through. So bear with me. So the first set of programmes I have, I've actually put in date order because, so this section is going to include quite a long story. So for quite a few years now, I have gone to Bradford Alhambra, which is basically like my favourite theatre in the whole entire world. Like, I just have so many amazing memories from that theatre in particular, and especially a very, very big one that I will talk about when I get to that particular programme. But yeah, it's a place that I grew up at because every Christmas me and my family, or like me and my friends, would go and see the pantomime there because Billy Pierce, who is a comedian, is in it every single year and he is absolutely fantastic. He is a Yorkshire legend and I've met him, he knows me, and it's such a nice thing. And I love pantomimes. Like, even now when I'm 25, I still go to them, and I do like to go to different ones so then I can like compare it to the ones that I'm used to. So yeah, so the first time I ever went was in December 2003 when I would have been 6 years old, and I do remember being very scared and I hated all the loud noises, I hated the baddies, and I didn't really enjoy it until obviously I was a lot older. So yeah, so this is the first programme. So I don't really remember the show much. I don't really remember much about the cast, so yeah. The second show that I went to see was in 2004 and it was Dick Whittington that year. Again, I don't really remember it. I do think I can remember seeing Postman Pat in it, but I'm not 100% sure. And I do remember him as like the bad guy, but I don't really remember a lot. So yeah, again, it's not really a show that I can actually remember because I wasn't very old. But the next one, I can remember bits from it because I believe it was the first year that they ever did a 3D in the pantomime, and this was 2006 to 2007, and it was Aladdin. And I'm a sucker for any pantomime, but there's just something about Aladdin that I just love. Like, I love the Disney film, I love the music, but pantomime for me just screams Aladdin. I love it. And yeah, this show was just fantastic, and for it being my first experience of like 3D in a theatre, it was really cool. I did feel a bit sick because I was so young and obviously I wasn't really used to it. So yeah, but I just loved this show a lot. And then the next one was Peter Pan. I sort of do remember it. Again, I don't really remember the cast. I do remember quite a few funny moments from it though. So yeah, this show and these pantomimes in particular are just amazing, and I do highly, highly, highly recommend going to see it if you're from the north, because it's just another level of craziness and fun, and it's just stereotypical pantomime really. And I believe, yes, this one I do remember a lot, because this one was another 3D one and it was so good. I think this one was one of my favourites in 3D, apart from one further along, which I will talk about. And this one in particular, I believe, was when I was used to like the bangs and stuff, so I did still jump, but it didn't scare me as much. So yeah, and I just love the 3D effects. They are so, so cool. I think that all pantomimes should have 3D sequences in them because they just add to the magic. Now, this one in particular, Jack and the Beanstalk, was the first time I'd ever seen Jack and the Beanstalk as a pantomime. And I loved it. I loved the cast. I thought they were all fantastic. And I was actually lucky enough to see this one twice because I volunteer at a local like brownie group that my mum runs. And that year they did a trip to the Bradford Alhambra, so I got to see it twice. And it was so interactive. Like, there was snowballs that you could throw at the giant to like freeze him and help Jack escape. And it was just really interactive. And I know that pantomimes anyway are meant to be interactive, but that show in particular I just felt was super interactive, and that's what I loved most about it. So yeah. And then the year after was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I've seen this pantomime so many times, but I love it. I think Snow White, Cinderella obviously, and Aladdin are my favourite. I'm just going to move back a bit because I'm a bit closer to the camera. But yeah, it was really good. And I believe in this one, the mirror was 3D, I think. I'm not quite sure, but I believe it was, and it was just really cool. So yeah. Now, this year was one of the best, I think, and it was Cinderella. And not only was it good because Billy was in it, obviously, but it was also incredible because Brendan from Coach Trip was in it. And Coach Trip is, well, was one of my favourite shows on E4. I love it so much. I wish they would bring it back because it was such a good show. And when I found out that Brendan was going to be in it, I had to go. I had to. There was no other choice but to go. And it was so good. And like, when I remember actually when Brendan entered the stage, he got brought out in an actual coach and they played like the Coach Trip music, and it was so good. That was definitely one of my favourites. But this version of Aladdin in particular was hands down the best. And I do believe this one was also 3D, I think. And not just that, but Chico was in it. What a legend. And one of the funny things that went wrong was Chico forgot to move when they brought the genie out. So when they brought the genie out, there was like sparks that would fly up as a pyrotechnic, and he got shot in the bum with a pyrotechnic. And I mean, it shouldn't be funny, but it was. So yeah, that was special. But this show for me, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, was, I'm going to say it now, hands down my favourite Snow White I've seen. This one and another one is hands down my favourite because Joe McElderry was in it, and he is so talented. His voice, his comedic timing, like everything was so good. And I actually got picked on a lot during this show with the camera because they brought a camera out into the crowd and I got picked on. So yeah, it was so good and so funny, and there was loads of little remarks, and just, I loved it. One of my favourites, hands down. Still got quite a few to go through, so I'm sorry. This one, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't my favourite that the Bradford Alhambra have done, but it was still good. Like, you had, what's his name, Boycie, or John Chalice, I think he's called, as the villain Flesh Creep. And then you had Jake Canuso from Benidorm, Matteo, and love that show. And then you had Lisa Riley as the Spirit of the Bean, I think it was called. And then obviously Billy as Jack. And it was just, I don't know, there was just something about it that wasn't really the same as, like, I just didn't think the budget for that show was the best. So yeah, it was a bit weak. Sorry. But it was. Now, we are coming on to my favourite panto with 3D that they have done. Because, wow, it was amazing. And it was Peter Pan in 2016, December. And John from S Club 7 was in it. Darren Day was in it as Captain Hook. And I can't remember the woman's name, so I might have to read where it will say, hopefully. Here we go. Charlie Hardwick as the Magical Mermaid, and obviously Billy. And I remember the 3D sequence to this just being so amazing, really funny, and they had a bit at the end where a shark came and it looked like it was going to eat you, and it was just so much fun. It was really, really fun, and definitely, hands down, my favourite pantomime I've ever seen at the Alhambra. Nothing will ever beat that one. So we are moving on to the last four. So I apologise for how long this video is going to be right now. So this one was Cinderella, and I believe it was 2017, I think, or 2018. And it had Billy, it had, what's his name? Shane Nolan and Colleen Nolan in it. The cast were great, they were all fantastic singers, but again, it wasn't my favourite. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favourite Cinderella I've ever seen, but it was still good. The next one was Aladdin, and it had Simon Webb from Blue in. It had Christopher Biggins as Widow Twankey, obviously, and Billy. So this one was good. Again, not my favourite, but I do just love Aladdin. Like I said, it's just like your typical pantomime. It's fun. You've got the baddie, you've got everything. And I did actually see the person who was playing Abanazar, and I did boo. And he was like, the show's over now, you don't need to boo me anymore. But I was like, yes I do, you're the baddie. But yeah, it was good. Now this one was my second favourite I have ever seen, because the cast were just unreal. So you had Paul Chuckle from the Chuckle Brothers, so basically my childhood, and then you had Faye Tozer from Steps. I was just in my element, and then obviously Billy, and I loved this pantomime so much. It was so good, and I was lucky enough to see it twice, and the second time I saw it with family, because the first time I saw it with my friends, and then the second time I saw it with my family, and it was just amazing. It was so good, and I absolutely loved it. It was a great show, and the cast were just phenomenal. And to actually see the cast do like Tragedy at the end when they performed like loads of step songs, and it was so good. It was really good. So yeah, definitely one of my part 2. So here's more programs. So we have another pantomime, but this one was special because it was the first pantomime that I'd ever gone to that wasn't actually in Bradford. Did I go to Bradford that year? I don't think I did. I don't know why. But, or did I? Maybe I did. I can't quite remember. I think I did, I don't know. But the reason for me going, obviously, if you can't tell, was because JJ from Union J was going to Blackpool to do it. And I mean, Blackpool's quite far away from me, but usually like boy bands do panto, but they don't really do them near me, so I have to travel. And I was like, I've got to travel. Tickets were cheap, so I was like, Mum, can we go? And I got us 2 tickets, and we had a great time. We were front row. We got picked on a lot. But yeah, it was fantastic. It was so magical, and just nice to see JJ do something a bit different as well. So yeah, it was lovely. And obviously I got to see him as well. So win-win. And then this was from the recent pantomime I saw in December 2022 and also January because I went twice, and it was Beauty and the Beast, and obviously JJ was in it as the Beast and the Prince, and the cast were fantastic. Also Amel from the Sugar Babes was in it, and I was just like in my element. And one of my favourite memories was getting this signed. I don't know how well you can see it on camera. It says Lucy, love you loads, JJ, kiss. And that was the day when I went to see it that I actually got my tattoo that's on my arm still. It's still there and I still love it. So yeah, it is very special, that show and the tattoo and everything about it. So yeah. Okay, so the next one's quite weird. So I'm trying to think when this was. I think this was a long time ago because I don't really remember it. But my childhood consisted of Scooby-Doo. And I went to Bradford Alhambra to see it live on stage. So I saw Scooby-Doo and the Pirate Ghost live on stage. It was good. It was good. I do remember enjoying it. Both me and my family all being good, like big fans of it. And it was just nice to see something different, really. And yeah, but I can remember bits, but I can't remember like the whole thing. So yeah. But the next program I have was from Strictly Come Dancing presents Keep Dancing, and it was such a good show. So in it you had Max, obviously, that was the main reason for me going, because he sang all of the songs that people danced to. You have Maisie, Reese from CBBC, Neil, Cameron, Yvita and Nancy, and yeah, the show was just amazing and just something different to what I'm used to, but it was good, really good. Okay, so one of a memory that was sort of a bit of mixed emotions because I actually saw this show on the day that Tom died, so my head was a bit all over the place and I was emotional anyway, but this show just made me even more emotional. And it was the first proper musical, like Disney musical, that I'd seen outside of like a West End theatre. and it was amazing. Like, the reviews do not, like, definitely do it justice. It was so, so, so good, and I loved the show so much. Obviously, me being a big fan, and I listened to the soundtrack. I want to go back and see it, but see it in London because it's just insane. It's really good, and it's 100% worth it. Now, the special show that I was talking about earlier was Derren Brown Showman. What can I say about the time that I went to see this for my 24th birthday? 23rd, 24th. 24th, yeah. And I went to see this as a present, and I managed to get us 4th row from the front, and the Bradford Alhambra is always going to have a special place in my heart because of this show in particular. And if you haven't seen the video that I did of me getting the chance to go on stage with Derren Brown, like, still to this day, I'm completely shocked that it happened. I can't believe it. I tell everybody about it. Everyone knows about it. If they don't know about it, I tell them the story because it was such an amazing experience, and I'm forever grateful that I got the opportunity. And yeah, it still blows me away. Like, even now, like, it's coming up to 2 years since it happened, but Showman is just amazing, and I highly, highly recommend, if you haven't and it's still on Channel 4, go and watch it because you will just be mind blown. It's incredible. Okay, so the next little section of programmes I have are Little Mix, because obviously I'm a big fan of Little Mix, and this is from the Salute Tour, and I went to see this in Scarborough back in 2014, I believe. Yeah, 2014, and it was unreal. It wasn't like the proper Salute Tour, but it was like sort of a preview, I guess, and it was really, really good. And obviously, I had to pick up a programme because, I mean, look at that. It just looks like a movie set. It was an amazing concert. So yeah. The next one. Now, this Little Mix tour in particular, and LM5, but I didn't get an LM5 programme for some reason. I don't know why. This one will forever have the biggest place in my heart, and it's the Get Weird tour, because if you don't know, I entered the Get Weird tour competition of doing something weird on a video, and somehow, I don't know how, I ended up winning, and it was the best experience of my life because as my prize originally was to dance on stage with Little Mix during Weird People, but because of health and safety they had to change the prize, and I was just expecting like to get merch or something, but I got to watch the girls sound check, and I was the only fan that day who got to see them. And I was right at the front, they were all chatting to me, they were singing to me, and it was just the best experience ever. Because before then, I'd never had like a proper front row, and obviously I did for LM5, and yeah. And it was at Leeds Arena, so that arena will always be special. Now, this programme was from the Glory Days tour, which I went to see for my birthday in 2017 in Manchester, and it was such a good show. Like, Manchester Arena, I haven't been back for a while, but I love that arena so much. So yeah. And Little Mix are special to me, obviously. Right, the next section, so I've not got that many left to go. Actually, before I forget, I'm actually in the Get Weird programme. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. Aha! There I am! And that photo was actually taken when Little Mix were performing Salute at Summertime Ball when I was lucky enough to go. So, yeah, it was cute. Okay, so the next ones are Disney on Ice, because I have quite a few programmes, because I've seen quite a few shows now of Disney on Ice, and I love it, and it's just an amazing experience, and it's quite cheap as well, so definitely check it out. I have this one, I have this one from 2019 when the genie fell in love with me, and I have this one from this year in March, March this year, where Donald Duck fell in love with me. So yeah, and Mickey and Minnie and Goofy. So yeah, cute. So they don't really have, well, they do have special memories, of course they do, but yeah. So the next set is the Vamps, because I've been to see the Vamps for a while, and I don't really get their programmes anymore. I don't know why, but I've got their programme from 2016, 2017, 2018 and 2019. So this was the programme from Wake Up, and I believe I'm in one of these programmes, but I can't remember which one. I think I might be in 2017 or 2018, so I'll look through. But one of my questions that I submitted was in there. So yeah, this tour will always be special, and I loved the Wake Up tour. Hashtag justice for Wake Up, just saying. But the next tour, now the 2017 tour, will hands down always have the biggest place in my heart, because it was the first time I ever had Wow Pit. It was the first time I ever met them properly in VIP, and I just loved every second. So I'm going to flip through and see if it is this one, because I'm not sure if it is. It might be the 2018 one, but I am just going to check. Maybe it's not this one. Maybe it's not. Oh no, it is! It is this one. So my question was, if you could be born in history as any famous person, who would it be and why? I don't think they understood the question, because they put 1920s England so I could walk around London without all the traffic. And yeah, that will always be special to me. And then we have the Night and Day tour in 2018. This tour for me will always also have a good place in my heart, because it was the first tour that I ever went to 3 times. No, it wasn't the first tour, it was the second tour I ever went to 3 times, because I went to see it at Sheffield, Manchester and Leeds in the Millennium Square. So yeah, it will always be special. And then, last but not least, for the Vamps, we have Four Corners Tour. Now this one, and I know I've said it about the past two, but this was my all-time favourite Vamps tour I have ever been to. Not just because I went twice and I met them literally one day after another, but because they actually came to my hometown. No band has ever done that apart from The Wanted. But yeah, I was just shocked when they announced they were coming to Harrogate. I was just like, what? No band has ever come to Harrogate, none. So I was like, I have to go. And I did. And I got VIP. James was on the train through my actual hometown, which was crazy. And this was where Connor remembered me because of my crazy dancing. So yeah, there we go. Right, the last 3 programmes now. So, no, 4. Last 4. So we have Ollie Murs 2017 tour. I am gonna. I don't know if I should say this. This tour was my second favourite because Marry Me tour is just my favourite. This one was my fave because I saw it 3 times, again. I saw it in Leeds with my mum, and there's just something special about seeing Ollie with my mum. I do love it because he's very much like a ladies' man, so yeah. And then I actually saw it at York Races, and I got so much interaction. I even got barrier. Mind blown. Yeah, it was just so special, and I absolutely loved it. And then I saw it in Scarborough with my grandma and my granddad. So yeah, this tour will forever be special to me. And then, of course, when I saw JLS, I couldn't resist getting a programme because I'd never seen a proper JLS tour, and when they announced they were doing Leeds, I was like, I have to go. And I did. I was sat right at the top and right at the back, so yeah. But for the next tour that I'm going to this year, I am floor seating, I'm right by the runway, I'm 5 rows from the front, and I am so excited to see the boys again. And yeah, it's going to be an amazing night, and I just cannot wait. But this tour was just everything. So yeah. Okay, so the final 2. We have a Summertime Ball one. And Summertime Ball is one of the best festivals or like day concerts you can go to. It's so much fun. There's someone for everyone, and this year in particular, I believe, yes, 2016, had Little Mix opening. It had the Vamps, it had Tiny Temper, Dizzy Rascal as a surprise guest, it had Mike Posner, it had Jason Derulo, I think? No, I don't think it had Jason Derulo actually. Maybe I got that wrong. Ariana Grande. There were a few other people, so I can't quite remember who else. will.i.am. Yeah, loads of people. So that for me was one of the best. And last but not least, I couldn't do one and not talk about one of my all-time favourite concerts I have ever gone to. Of course, it's got to be the Wanted Most Wanted Arena Tour 2022 at Leeds Arena, where I met them, they answered my question in soundcheck, I got so much love off them on stage, and yeah. And still that vlog is hands down one of my all-time favourite concert vlogs I have ever filmed. So yeah, but anyway, I apologise for how long this video is. Like, honestly, if you're watching this and you've watched it all the way through, you deserve a round of applause because that was long. Okay, so yeah, but yeah, I just love doing collection videos. I have so many different items that I collect, so I'm sure if I get more, then I can do like a part 2. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. Turn on the bell and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. But for now, this is Redhead Boo signing off. Bye!